Two veteran comedians sat in the back of the Holy City Zoo watching Robin Williams' first stand-up set in 1976, and they were arguing, loudly. "This is garbage," one said. "He's bombing. Look at him." "No," the other one said. "Shut up and watch. Something's happening." What was happening was Robin Williams having a complete meltdown on stage. His prepared material had died in the first 5 minutes. The crowd was leaving. The club owner was signaling to cut him off. And then Williams had snapped, threw away his script, and started improvising his characters nobody had ever seen in stand-up before. A drunk Russian, a preacher on roller skates, an alien ordering coffee. It was madness. Half the audience walked out demanding refunds.
But those two comedians couldn't stop arguing about what they'd just seen. "That's not comedy," the first one said. "That's improv theater. That's chaos. It doesn't belong in stand-up." The second one smiled. "Exactly. He just invented something new, and he doesn't even know it yet." What those two comedians and the club owner who joined them told Robin Williams after that disastrous set became the foundation of his entire career. The failure was the beginning. The chaos was the point. September 1976, San Francisco. The Holy City Zoo was not a prestigious venue. It was a tiny, dark cavern on Clement Street that smelled like stale beer and cigarette smoke. Maximum capacity was 78 people if you squeezed them in tight. The stage was barely a stage, more like a slightly elevated platform with a single microphone and a stool. This was where careers were made or destroyed, where comedians tested material in front of brutal, unforgiving crowds who'd seen everything. Robin Williams stood backstage, gripping a stack of index cards so tightly they were getting damp from his sweat. He was 25 years old, fresh out of Juilliard, and terrified. He'd been doing improv theater for months at the Intersection Theater, making decent money, getting laughs. But stand-up was different. Stand-up was the real test. You, alone with a microphone, making strangers laugh with just words. No scene partners, no props, no safety net. For 5 months, he'd been writing jokes. Real jokes. Setup, punchline, structure. He'd studied George Carlin, Richard Pryor, Lenny Bruce. He'd memorized every word on these index cards. He'd practiced in front of his bathroom mirror, timed every pause, calculated every gesture. This was going to be professional, disciplined, controlled. Everything John Houseman at Juilliard had taught him about preparation and craft. The MC introduced him. Next up, making his stand-up debut, fresh from New York, Robin Williams. Scattered applause. Robin walked on stage, the spotlight hitting him like a punch. He couldn't see the audience through the glare, just shapes in the darkness. He adjusted the microphone, looked down at his first card, and started.
"So, I just moved to San Francisco. It's great. Lot of hills. I'm from the Midwest. We don't have hills. We have corn. You can't ski on corn. You just get..."
Silence. Not even a chuckle. Robin's heart started pounding. Okay, that was the warm-up. Move to the stronger material. "I was at the grocery store yesterday, and this guy asked me if I knew where the organic section was. I said, yeah, it's between pretentious and overpriced." A few scattered chuckles. Pity laughs. The kind audiences give when they feel bad for you. Robin could feel the sweat running down his back. He looked at the next card. His hands were shaking. In the back of the room, 2 comedians sat at a small table nursing beers. Jay Leno, 26, already making a name for himself with sharp observational comedy, and Will Durst, a local comedy scene veteran who'd been doing stand-up for 3 years. They watched Robin struggle through his third joke. "This is painful," Leno muttered. "He's dying up there." Durst leaned forward, studying Robin. "Give him a minute."
"A minute? Jay, he's got nothing. Look at him. He's reading off cards. Who does that?" Robin was now 4 minutes in. The crowd was getting restless. He could hear whispers, chairs scraping. Someone in the front row checked their watch openly. The panic was rising in Robin's chest, like water filling a sinking ship. He looked at the next card, and his mind went blank. He couldn't remember what the joke was supposed to be. He'd practiced this 50 times, and now, under the lights, it was just words.
Near the bar, the club owner, a grizzled ex-hippie named Bob Fisher, caught Robin's eye and made a subtle gesture, a finger drawn across his throat. Cut it short. Get off stage. End this. Robin saw it, saw the signal, saw his comedy career ending before it really started. He'd bombed, completely bombed. All those months of preparation, all that careful writing, and he'd failed. The index cards in his hand suddenly felt ridiculous, childish. What was he doing? Who did he think he was? And then something snapped inside him. Not a conscious decision, more like a dam breaking. All the control, all the discipline, all the careful structure, it just shattered. Robin looked at the index cards one more time, then dropped them on the stage floor. The audience noticed. The wrestling stopped. Something had changed. Robin looked up at the crowd, and suddenly he wasn't Robin Williams anymore. His posture changed. His accent shifted. He became someone else entirely. "Excuse me," he said in a thick Russian accent, swaying slightly like a drunk man. "I am Boris. I am Russian poet. I come to America, and I am very confused by your freedoms. In Russia, we have one type of bread, black bread. Here, you have wheat bread, white bread, sourdough, pumpernickel, rye. How do you choose? In Russia, choosing is treason." The audience laughed, a real laugh, not pity, real. Robin felt it like electricity. He kept going, fully committed to this drunk Russian character nobody had asked for.
"I try to write love poem in America, but everything is too happy. In Russia, love poem must include suffering, snow, and reference to dead grandmother. Here, people smile all the time. Very suspicious. What are they hiding?"
The laughter got louder. Robin's brain was moving at light speed now, making connections, finding absurdities, building on the character. And then, mid-sentence, he dropped the Russian and became something else entirely. He got on his knees, rolling across the stage, his voice shifting to a Southern Baptist preacher. "Brothers and sisters, I have seen the light, and the light told me to get roller skates, because how else are we going to spread the gospel at high speed? Jesus didn't walk everywhere. He would have used wheels if he had 'em. Rolling for Jesus. Can I get an amen on wheels?" Half the audience was laughing hysterically now. The other half looked confused, almost offended. This wasn't stand-up. This was something else, something chaotic and uncontrolled. In the back, Leno shook his head. What is he doing? He's lost his mind. Durst was grinning. "No, he's found something. Keep watching." Robin stood up, dropped the preacher character, and became an alien. He moved like his joints didn't quite work right, his head tilted at an odd angle, his voice high and confused. "I am visiting from planet Zorgon. I go to coffee establishment. Woman asks, 'Would you like cream?' I say, 'Cream? What is cream? Is this secretion from earth animal?' She says, 'Yes, from cow.' I am horrified. You drink secretions from creatures? On Zorgon, we only drink pure hydrogen. Very refreshing. No secretions involved." The audience was split down the middle now. Half were laughing so hard they were wiping tears. The other half were stone-faced, arms crossed, clearly not amused. Robin could see both reactions, but he couldn't stop. It was like something had taken over. Every character led to another character. Russian poet, to Baptist preacher, to alien, to suddenly a French waiter arguing with an invisible customer about the philosophical implications of ordering chicken. For 8 minutes straight, Robin improvised. No structure, no setup, punchline format. Just pure, manic, character-based chaos that nobody had ever seen in stand-up comedy before. When he finally stopped, breathing hard, sweating through his shirt, the room went silent.
Not the bad silent from before, a different silent. Stunned, like the audience didn't know what they'd just witnessed. Then someone in the front row stood up and walked out. Then another person. Then 5 more. They went straight to the bar. Robin could hear them from the stage.
I want my money back. That wasn't comedy. That was a mental breakdown.
That was offensive. That alien bit mocked religion. I paid $5 for actual jokes, not whatever that was.
Bob Fisher, the club owner, looked at his bartender with wide eyes. In 12 years of running the Holy City Zoo, he'd never given refunds, but half the audience was now at the bar, demanding their money back. He started counting out bills.
Robin stood on stage, watching people leave, and felt his stomach drop. He'd done it. He'd completely destroyed his stand-up career in one night. He walked off stage, grabbed his jacket, and headed for the back door. He needed to get out of here. Needed to disappear.
Hey, kid, wait.
Robin turned. Will Durst was walking toward him, Jay Leno right behind him. Robin braced himself for the criticism he knew was coming. That was... Leno started, then stopped, searching for words. That was the worst stand-up I've ever seen.
Robin's heart sank. Yeah, I know. Sorry.
But it was also the most interesting thing I've seen on a comedy stage in 2 years, Leno continued. You broke every rule, every single one. Set up punchline structure? Gone. Consistent point of view? Gone. You were 6 different people in 8 minutes.
Durst nodded. He's right. That wasn't stand-up comedy as we know it. That was something else, something new.
Robin looked at them, confused. New? Half the room just demanded refunds.
Yeah, because they came here expecting traditional stand-up, Durst said. They wanted observational humor about airlines and relationships. You gave them Russian poets and roller skating preachers. You broke their expectations. Bob Fisher walked over, holding a stack of $5 bills. You just cost me $60 in refunds, Williams.
Robin's face fell. I'm so sorry. I'll pay you back.
Shut up. Fisher looked at him hard. Those people who left, they're not your audience. They're never going to be your audience. You know who stayed? The people who got it. The people who saw something they'd never seen before and wanted more. He pointed back at the room where maybe 30 people were still sitting, talking animatedly, arguing about what they'd just watched. Those people are your audience. Find more of them.
Leno leaned against the wall. Can I give you some advice? Don't ever prepare material again. What you did in the first 5 minutes, that scripted stuff, it was terrible. But the moment you threw those cards away and just became those characters, that was magic. Insane magic, but magic.
But that's not how stand-up works, Robin protested. You need structure. You need jokes. You can't just improvise for...
Says who? Durst interrupted. Richard Pryor tells stories and becomes characters. George Carlin breaks the fourth wall and rants about language. Lenny Bruce used to go on political tangents for 20 minutes. There's no rule book. You just accidentally proved that. Fisher put his hand on Robin's shoulder. Look, kid, I'm going to give you another spot next week. Same time. But here's the deal. No index cards. No prepared material. I want you to do exactly what you did tonight. Walk on stage and see what happens. Can you do that? Robin stared at him. You want me to bomb again? You didn't bomb, Fisher said firmly. You invented something. There's a difference. Most of the audience wasn't ready for it, but some of them were. And next week, word will spread. The right people will show up. Trust me. Robin looked at the 3 men standing in front of him. A club owner who'd just lost money because of him. 2 comedians who should have been laughing at his failure, and they were all telling him to do it again, to embrace the chaos, to trust the thing that Juliad had spent 2 years trying to control.
Okay, Robin said quietly. Okay, I'll try.
What Robin didn't know that night was this.
Will Durst called every comedian in San Francisco and told them about the crazy kid who did characters at the zoo. Jay Leno mentioned it on a local radio show. Bob Fisher put up a sign. See the comedian half the audience walked out on. Find out why.
The next week, the Holy City Zoo was packed. 78 people squeezed in tight. And this time, they came knowing what to expect. Robin walked on stage with no cards, no preparation, just trust that something would happen. He became a British tourist confused by American cheese, a disco-dancing accountant having an existential crisis, a motivational speaker who kept forgetting what he was motivating people to do. For 15 minutes, he improvised pure chaos.
Nobody walked out. Nobody demanded refunds. They laughed until they hurt. Word spread fast. Within 3 months, Robin Williams was headlining at the Holy City Zoo every week. Within a year, he was performing at the boarding house, a bigger venue. Within 2 years, he'd been discovered by TV producers and cast as Mork in Happy Days. The alien character that confused people at his first stand-up set became the foundation for Mork from Ork.
But it all started on that September night in 1976 when Robin Williams bombed his first stand-up set so badly that half the audience demanded refunds, when he threw away the script and trusted the chaos, when failure became the blueprint for everything that followed.
Years later, in a 1991 interview, Robin was asked about his first stand-up set. He smiled. "I died. Completely died. Worst 5 minutes of my life. But then something happened. I stopped trying to be what I thought a comedian should be, and just became what I was, whatever that was in the moment. And I've been doing that ever since. The failure taught me more than any success ever could."
Will Durst, who became a successful comedian himself, told a documentary crew in 2015, "That night at the Holy City Zoo, I watched comedy split into 2 paths. There was traditional stand-up, setups and punchlines and structure, and then there was whatever Robin was doing, character-based, improvisational, stream of consciousness chaos. Half the audience hated it because it wasn't what they expected, but the other half saw the future. Robin didn't just bomb that night. He invented a new art form and didn't even know it."
Today, character-based stand-up comedy is everywhere. Comedians improvise, take risks, break structure. But in 1976, in a tiny club on Clement Street, it was radical. It was frightening. It was revolutionary. And it started with failure, with bombing so badly that people demanded their money back, with a young comedian throwing away his script and trusting that chaos could become art.
If this story about embracing failure, trusting your instincts, and inventing something new moved you, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. Share this with someone who's afraid to fail, who thinks there's only one right way to do things. Have you ever failed at something and discovered it was actually the beginning? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to ring that notification bell for more incredible true stories about the moments that changed everything.